Okay, this is the beginning of chapter or section 7.4. This is the first screencast, so 7.4.1. Arcs and chords definitions. So arcs and chords are the focus of 7.4. This screencast primarily deals with how to deal with arcs. So an arc is a piece of a circle, and just to establish some definitions so we can work with these down the road, we have what is called minor arc CB. So we identify arcs as the pieces or points that are on the circle. We often, if you can see major arc BDC, sometimes it's helpful to the reader to establish that we want to go this way around the circle. And so you may end up seeing, BDC is all the way around. Whereas minor arc CB is important. So I want to take that out. One of the big things we want to take away from today, from this screencast, is that the measure of an arc is always the same as the measure of the central angle. So when we are talking about the measure of arc BC, okay, we've got BC, and there is always a center of the circle. So A here is the center, and you can see as I move it around, the central angle right now is at 54, 58, 63, 64 degrees. We also say that minor arc or arc CB has measure 64 degrees or 57 degrees. If we want to talk about the major arc on the other side, major arc BDC is considered to be 303 or 268 degrees, right? You can see, and they have to add up to 360. So it's just a way of talking about the measure. This is not to be confused with the length of BC, right? The length of BC has everything to do with the length of the radius, which we don't actually need to know. So what you might be saying is, well, I could have two minor arcs that are 57 degrees and they could look very, very different, and you would be right. The circle could be a much smaller circle, and the minor arc could also be 57 degrees. It would look a lot smaller. Down here on the right, we also, and again, this is not rocket science, a semicircle, therefore, has measure 180 degrees. So what I do have here is GF. You might actually sometimes occasionally see a point in there just so that they know what side of the circle you're talking about, in which case there would be this pink semicircle is 180 degrees. This will be super important when we talk about inscribed angles later, knowing that this semicircle is 180 degrees. This also brings into account the idea that when you are given something about a circle, you might be told such and such is a semicircle. From that information, you are to surmise that it's 180 degrees. A semicircle is exactly half a circle. A whole circle is 360, 180 degrees is half. And of course, half of 180 would be 90. And those will creep up into our discussion pretty soon as well. Okay, so those are the quick definitions. Central angle and arc measure are one in the same.